It's Monday, September 2nd. You've got Goose, you've got Daniel, and you're entering into the core, brought to you by Zelcore Plus, the one cryptocurrency wallet for all your custody and trading needs. For more information about Zelcore Plus, check out Zell.network. Daniel, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Came on tonight. Have one of my favorite guests on here tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We've got with us Jeremy Anderson, one of the lead developers for the RavenCoin project. Jeremy, how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on.
Great to talk with you. Great to have you on the core. So there's a lot to talk about because a very recent announcement about the RavenCoin project stated that we're going to have a new algorithm. And coming from Zell, of course, we're very excited to hear about algorithm changes. We just did one ourselves, which was very successful. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that. But before we do so, I do want to get into a little bit about who you are, how you got involved with RavenCoin. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure, yeah, not a problem. So I'll just go back to like when I started in crypto, because that was pretty much my way how I got to RavenCoin. But I was graduating. This was my last semester at the University of Utah, doing my degree in computer science. And I had a friend hit me up one day and he said, "Hey, I have a job for you. I'm building this decentralized exchange." And I had known nothing about cryptocurrency at this time. And I said, "Great, I'm looking to do some side work and I'd love to help." So about a month before graduating, I started working with him, probably like 20 to 30 hours a week. And we were building a decentralized exchange. We using C++ code, using blockchain technologies. So about a couple months after I started building this decentralized exchange, I actually started working for a cryptocurrency called Pivx. I don't work with Pivx anymore, but that's how I got my start. So I started working as a junior developer for Pivx, got really acquainted with the Bitcoin blockchain, built a complete custom blockchain using those concepts by myself. And at that point, I decided to go and put blockchain experience on my profile online. And a couple weeks later, I got hit up by a company called Medici Ventures, who, if your viewers don't know, Medici Ventures pays right now RavenCoin developers to get on the team to contribute to their open source community project. So I work as an employee of Medici, and I get to spend my time working on RavenCoin. So I thought that was pretty cool. I accepted the job. They offered it to me, and I just got started there. So it's pretty crazy, very quick. I'd say within 8 months, I knew nothing to I had a developer job working on a cryptocurrency that is now one of the top 40 coins out of all coins on the network.
And maybe even a little higher than that of all top mineable coins, right? If you go to CoinMarketCap.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember what we are right now. I would assume top 20 mineable coins, I would think.
Yeah, I believe you're in the top 20 for sure.
Yeah. So RavenCoin is a year and 8 months new now, which is pretty remarkable that we got to the top 20. I think we got to like the top 40 out of all coins, but I think we managed to get top 30. We might have even broken into the 20s at one point. But right now, I think we're sitting in the lower 40s. So,
yeah, I'm seeing you right now at 43 over on CoinMarketCap. So, hey, that's quite an achievement for such a short period of time, if you think about it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I couldn't ask for any better experience to get introduced into the technology.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've had some great experiences along the way. You mentioned Pivx, which was a pretty successful project. And then, of course, working with a decentralized exchange. I mean, of all things to get involved with from the beginning, I think that's a excellent entry into the space, because that's really where I believe that more and more cryptocurrency projects are headed, right? They're going to have to offer some type of way to whether that be on-chain swaps or atomic swaps or even a decentralized exchange platform. That's going to be a little bit of the bread and butter of probably the next couple of years, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's the future.
Well, given that you've had that experience, there's some heavy hitters that are behind RavenCoin. Of course, Bruce Fenton and Tron Black. What has your experience been like working with those guys?
Pretty good. Tron he knows a lot. He's been in blockchain since the early 2014. Built his own company doing blockchain taxes and sold it. He knows a lot about different currencies and is a great resource to have on the team. And Bruce is a visionary, backgrounds in finance. He kind of lets us, as RavenCoin is an open source community project, no one's really controlling it. So we kind of do what the community wants in a way, but we try to do it securely and safely, because we got to make sure the blockchain's safe. But yeah, Bruce is a visionary. He's helped RavenCoin a lot, and excited to see where it goes.
I remember watching some of the commentary that he was making early on in the project and some of the vision that he had. And I thought it was fantastic. The allegories that he made between the asset kingdom, as it were, and we're talking like going all the way back to the early 1900s when there were stock runners and things like this, to saying now that we need a tokenized version of that will make it much more secure, easier to manage, all of these things, so it seems to be moving along quite well since he's been, kind of planting those seeds. We're seeing a year later now how those seeds have grown. You've added the asset layer. There are some 12,000 assets or so that are attached to RavenCoin's chain right now. What's the actual number?
Oh man, I'd have to go look on the Asset Explorer. To be honest with you, I haven't looked at that for a little bit. But over 12,000 assets have been created on chain, which was remarkable. I mean, in the first month, we had thousands and thousands after assets were deployed, and it's great to see people actually using RavenCoin for what it's used for. But I think it will get a lot better, and a lot more assets will get issued as the newer features come out in the upcoming year.
Okay. And for somebody who's new to this and they are not really all that familiar with RavenCoin, maybe we could kind of boil it down a little bit to just talk about the basics. What is it exactly that RavenCoin is seeking to do?
Sure. I'll give a simple example. So I'm assuming, guys, that if you're listening, that you know what cryptocurrency is. I'm just going to go from that. I'm going to relate it to Bitcoin. So you have one Bitcoin, and that has a monetary value. I think right now it's $10,300. Well, on RavenCoin, you can create your own token, and you can name it whatever you want. So if your name is George, maybe you want to create George token, and you can create any number of those that you want, up to 21 billion. And you can send those to anybody that you want. If you wanted to use it for a business purpose, for gift cards to your business, you could send those to people that buy gift cards, and then they would redeem them at your store and send the token back to you. So it's kind of a way to get yourself introduced to blockchain in an easy way that's fairly cheap, and it's quick. You don't have to launch your own nodes. The nodes on the network already support it. It might be a little confusing, but that's the type of thing that I tend to go to, is just your own blockchain, but you don't have to worry about setting it up.
Very interesting. So these assets that are created by anybody, right? Like anybody who wants to make a token can do it?
Yep.
And when they do that, they can issue up to 21 billion of them?
21 billion divisible by 8 decimals. So quite a few denominations there.
That's about the same number of coins that you would find on the RavenCoin blockchain itself, right?
Yes, that's correct. So we use the same numbers.
Here's the $1 billion question. I think a lot of people, especially newbies, right? How the heck do you create 21 billion assets, like asset tokens, on a chain that already has 21 billion coins? Like, what's the difference between the coin side and the token side?
So that's the great thing. So the thing that makes us different from token coins, for instance, like Ethereum, is that we're a UTXO based token, which means that your token is sent in a way that is directly, I'm trying to explain a little better here. Your token's sent in a way that directly ties to where it came from. So if you're like a business owner, or if you needed to audit the chain to figure out, hey, who sent this token and who redeemed this coupon, you can do that. Ethereum uses address balances. So your address has a single balance. So if I sent you 10 coins and then 10 coins on Ethereum, it would just say 20. And if you spent 10 of those coins, I don't know which 10 you spent. You could have sent it from the first 10, second 10, it could have been a mixture. On RavenCoin, it's a little different. So you can directly correspond which, like my UTXO from someone else's in the same address.
So for lack of a better description, there's a signature attached to every single token.
Correct, yes.
And then you can look up those tokens individually and find out where they came from and where they were sent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much you got it.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of like going on a blockchain explorer. If you wanted to, check your Bitcoin address and see where the coins were sent, you put in your address and then it would tell you, okay, it came from, this address was sent to that address, and then which came from this address and was sent to that address. So you could just kind of go through the whole trail of what's up. And I like that. That's good for business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice where you can, if you're a business owner, let's say you wanted to do like coupons, you could only accept coupons after a certain date. Or if they're newly issued coupons, you can code it so that you don't accept the old ones. On Ethereum, that would be hard to do.
Yeah, I totally get it with Ethereum because like you said, as soon as somebody deposits a few more coins into the wallet address, that changes the balance. And then you don't, unless you're working on some kind of weird first in, first out kind of system, but even then there's no signature attached to the coins that are sitting in the wallet. It's kind of like literally if you had a coffee can and you went ahead and dropped a bunch of coins in the coffee can. You don't know who put what coins in at what time. But with Raven, what you're saying is when the asset token comes back to you, you know exactly where it came from.
Yeah, exactly. That's one use case that people could use on the RavenCoin blockchain. We really just wanted to make an asset-based blockchain based on the most secure blockchain in the world, which is Bitcoin. And we wanted to mimic why Bitcoin is so good. However, we thought Bitcoin was a little slow, so we took the 10-minute block time and made it a minute. We also took the max number of coins and increased that to 21 billion. So that's kind of what we wanted, is to build this on Bitcoin to show the power, to show the real power of assets on a Bitcoin blockchain. And
the assets are powerful. I mean, we can already tell that there's a lot of motion around that. There's a lot of motion around tokenizing the world, so to speak. And we're seeing that in other platforms as well. So that's very forward thinking.
Well, that's the idea, right? Is that the one kind of use case that you just offered was this gift card thing, right? But let's really bring this down. Let's talk brass here. Like this thing was created so that companies would, instead of issuing stocks or shares, they would issue asset tokens on this blockchain, right? That's the end game here, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I think that's where we're going to really start to see some things get interesting. When some of these major companies, like, could you imagine if Amazon was like, "That's it, we're going tokens"? Like would be that's going to come. It's going to come. Who knows? 2-3 years down the road.
But that's exactly why I just released a new feature on the RavenCoin testnet called restricted assets. And we believe that this is the next step to allow companies to be able to issue stocks on the RavenCoin network. Because restricted assets allow you to add rule sets to how assets can be transferred. Just like the laws in certain countries, the United States for one, you can't transfer stock. You can't sell stock to someone unless they're certified, or they've been KYC'd through an exchange like Scott Trade or Goldman Sachs. So these new restricted assets add a bunch of new options to the RavenCoin network and a bunch of new rule sets that you can configure yourself. And that, I think that's the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And it almost seems like you're combining a little bit of the smart contract thing there, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. The way we say it is when RavenCoin first started out, the SEC really didn't know much about blockchain. They were just getting started in it, and they didn't really have a lot of rules. And now that, as you know, a year and a half later, the SEC's got a lot of rules now going on. So we're trying to make these companies have a place on blockchain where normally it's not. They don't want to put their assets on blockchain because it's against the rules, right? So if we allow these rules to be built by them, they're customizable, then they might want to come to blockchain. It will entice them over.
Yeah. Do you think, if we're playing on a giant chessboard here, because I always like to try and think a few moves ahead, it seems to be a delicate balance, right? There have to be moments where the blockchain universe reaches over into the real world and says, look, we want this. We know you want this. Let's face it, okay? The world needs this, and culture lag is real, all right? It's going to take a long time for people to catch up with this technology. Not everybody's going to be able to just dedicate every day of their life for 8 months like you did, to like learn the ins and outs of it. But in time, they'll be able to do it. And I think, this idea is really going to make a game changer for them, because it'll be like, hey, you want to play by your rules, you can within the blockchain space, and this is the tool to make it possible.
Yeah, totally. I think there are a lot of opportunities for companies to use blockchain. Not that every company needs to, or that it's even useful for them, but there are some companies, and I think that they're coming out right now. Like Amazon is developing blockchain. They have tons of developers using it. Microsoft, IBM, they're all looking at it. These companies are billion-dollar companies, and they're just getting interested in this space. So that's showing you something. Maybe your local supermarket doesn't have a use case for it, but there's definitely use cases out there, and they're just waiting to be found and deployed.
I think that the local supermarket is the one that should start to take advantage of the gift card tokenization.
Yes, that could be very cool.
Instead of using a rewards card that you have to scan or whatever, just offer rewards tokens or something. That would be a very simple thing. Now, this is all like future driven, right? So, I mean, there's some more development that needs to take place here. And one of the big things that you just announced was the development of a new version of the X16R algorithm, version 2. So that's slated to be launched in October.
Yep, October 1st.
So what can we learn about this new algorithm, and why do we need it?
So recently, ASIC devices, which is a mining, it's a way to mine, RavenCoin. They came out and they're for sale. And RavenCoin, since the beginning, has said that as soon as ASICs are starting to get created and are deployed on the network, that we will change the algorithm to support the GPU miners. So that's exactly what we're doing. We got confirmations that ASICs were for sale, I believe, about a week ago. And so we've been investigating for a little bit now what algorithms we should change. And on Friday, we had our open development meeting in Discord with the community, and a decision was made that we're going to change the algorithm. The community was shooting for a quick algorithm change, so we thought 6 weeks was pretty quick. It gives enough time for people to update their nodes. So this algorithm is going to change the way that RavenCoin blocks are mined, and this should break the ASICs that are for sale. So hopefully people aren't buying them and wasting their money. At least to mine RavenCoin, they won't work anymore after October 1st. So that was the goal, and we're in the middle of deploying and creating that algorithm and letting the GPU miners know so that they can also get that updated.
And, once again, just for the noobs out there, and guys, please don't take this as a derogatory thing. We're here to help you learn, okay? So that's part of the goal of the core podcast. And an ASIC, which represents an application-specific integrated circuit. This is a machine that's designed to do one thing and do one thing extraordinarily well. And so the threat of an ASIC on a blockchain that's trying to be supported by GPUs is that those who are running the ASIC are going to mint a tremendous amount of coins, and that adds instability in terms of the price. It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like the ASIC could add technically some stability to the chain, but then, of course, then it really screws with the price.
So yeah, exactly. So there's a couple things that ASICs provide. They provide an increase in hash power, which some might think is an increase of security. However, if those ASICs are being sold, someone buys up most of them, which is normally the case, well, then that person owns almost all of the hash power on a coin. And they can kind of do whatever they want because they control what transactions are added and sent. And it kind of adds a centralized element to RavenCoin if we allow that to happen. So instead of adding, we want RavenCoin to be as decentralized as possible. So we are making this algorithm swap to make those ASICs no longer work. It was the main goal.
And that's a big props to you and your project. We've seen in the past projects that have claimed to be committed to ASIC resistance and then not fork and allow ASICs on the project. And we won't mention any names, but some that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And I think that damages your reputation because ultimately the mining community, they're your biggest supporters. And they're the vehicles of success for your project. So I think being loyal to them and making sure that you fulfill those promises, I think that's great.
Yeah, like I said, it's even in our white paper that we are GPU positive, and we don't want the centralization aspect of ASIC hardware to control the network. So we are holding true to that, and we are switching. And we'll plan on switching again down the road to make sure that we combat ASICs completely. We're investigating a lot of time into a even newer algorithm swap that we'll have information about months down the road.
Excellent. So this is just kind of a temporary fix for the meantime to address the immediate threat of the most recent ASIC that was created. Announced. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to dime anybody out, but I mean, it is what it is. I think the best thing that we can do right now is, like you said earlier, is to encourage people not to go there because it may be rendered worthless because once the algorithm is swapped in a month, that's it.
There are a couple other coins out there that you can mine, but they're not a top 40 coin, and they probably don't have the volume that RavenCoin does. So for me, I'm not buying one. Other people can make their own decisions, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. And I mean, obviously, you're one of the developers, but I mean, just from an open source standpoint, and from a designer's perspective, right? This is like. You're right there at ground zero, and you're saying this doesn't bode well for the project. So that's, I think, worth its weight right there for most people who are listening.
Yeah, what's actually pretty cool is the ASIC, normal ASICs on Bitcoin, they're 1,000 times more effective than a GPU. The RavenCoin ASICs, however, because RavenCoin, the X16R is such a crazy algorithm, they seem to be coming in at 30% more efficient. That's it. Not 1,000 times more efficient, just 30%. But even then, we're like, nope, we're going to get rid of them. So
with Bitcoin, 1,000%. I mean, because there's only one algorithm.
Yep, just runs twice.
Yeah. So with RavenCoins, jumping around from 16, and now there's going to be some additional from Tiger Hash that are added. So that'll make it even more difficult for them. And keep favoring the GPUs. And what kind of effect is that going to have on the overall hash rate for the GPU miners?
It should be fairly unchanged. It will be slightly slower as it has to do more hashes, but on a normal, we've done the math, and it's not going to increase the time to find hashes by much. It's very negligible, the amount that the difference is.
Okay. Well, that's great news then, because people don't like to see things. They don't want to have to mess with their rigs.
Yeah, we don't want to burn out cards. That's not our goal.
Right. Yeah. Good. And then if the hash rate's not going to change all that much, then they should be able to anticipate a similar amount of reward that they've already been receiving.
Correct. And that also means that the block difficulty will stay consistent. There's not going to be a big jump. So as soon as we switch over, you're not going to see crazy slow blocks. It should be pretty consistent as long as we get the majority of the network to switch over.
Well, hey, we have had some opportunity to enlist some of your services. You want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've done with the Zell team?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Well, let's just, I'd rather just let you go ahead and share whatever was your favorite aspect of working on Zell. I mean, you tell me what you like the best and we can go from there.
Sure. Sounds good. Well, as I was working on RavenCoin, Zell reached out and asked if I could help implement a couple of features on the Zell Cash coin. And because I had experience with PIVX and their masternode system, I brought over masternodes into Zell, which is pretty cool. That was a lot of work, a lot of fun, and it seems to be pretty stable at the moment, which I'm really happy about. So I built a 3-tiered masternode system for Zell Cash. Each tier gets different payouts on each block, depending on how much the hardware you're using to run the masternode has. So different tiers get paid different amounts. And we deployed it. When was that, Daniel? When did we deploy that?
Oh man, you asked
January?
me too quick. Yeah, I think it was January. Yeah,
I think it was the end of January.
Yeah,
this year,
January.
2019. Yep.
Yeah, so we deployed it, had a couple hiccups as you would expect, and we fixed those up, and I feel like it's pretty stable right now, and the Zell nodes are getting paid out consistently on the network. And we have a lot of big plans, and I know Miles and Daniel have a lot of big plans as well on new features to add that will use those Zell nodes. And it's going to be awesome. So super excited about it.
Jeremy's a very talented young man, that's for sure. He also had the opportunity to be with us in Colorado when we went live on our Zell Hash. So that was kind of awesome too. So a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life that were all coming together to work on this project. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out. I recommend Zell Core to every person that I meet, and they always download it, and it's their new favorite wallet on every single coin. I'm not even kidding. It's amazing, the product that the Zell team can push out.
It's the one cryptocurrency wallet for all your custody and trading needs.
That was not like I'm not trying to pitch Zell Core. I was just giving props there to people that are listening.
Yeah, we're very happy with it. The Zell nodes, I think, are going to be an incredible infrastructure. No matter what version of the node, like you said, there was 3 tiers. There's a basic, a super, and a BAMF, which I believe represents broadly available multifunctional. So for all those people who get a little weird about what a BAMF is, it's okay. Settle down.
Unless you're Elon Musk, and then you can say what you want to say.
Yeah, yeah, with a puff of smoke, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Boom.
No, we're not quite there yet. But looking at these, and I've had the opportunity to run all 3 variants, and they've been pretty phenomenal in terms of the way they work. I've worked on setting up scripts to get them running We have an excellent script team, like the guys who help to deploy these nodes, to get users up and running. Like they're fantastic, So it's already surpassed whatever contributions I've made to it. I just kind of put some colors in there and make the thing look nice. I'm like the spit and polish guy who comes on like, I think that should be green right there. But a tremendous effort and fantastic contribution. So in the meantime, you're working full time on Raven on this algorithm.
Correct.
And of course, those additional features that are coming up so that companies can tailor their assets. Any other features coming up for the Raven chain?
Yeah, of course. There's never-ending list. So restricted assets was a big push. About 2 to 3 months of coding. Finally got it on testnet. So that's going to come out soon as well onto the mainnet after it's had significant testing. After that, we have dividends, or we call it rewards, which is a built-in mechanism in the wallet that allows you to pay out users that own assets in Raven or other assets. That's in test as well. So that's been coded. Cool thing about that one is a community member actually reached out and said that they wanted to code it. So we said, sure, go for it. So I worked with him a little bit, and he has a PR up on our repo. We just are testing it out and making sure that it's good to go before we merge it in. And then there's voting, which is kind of the last phase on our roadmap right now. It would allow the goal is to allow a company to elicit votes from its holders of an asset, just in the same way that if you own stock, sometimes you'll get a letter in the mail. This will be a much more efficient and faster way to ask your holders to issue a vote on anything that you want. And they'll be able to do that on the RavenCoin blockchain as well.
Excellent. I remember talk about that a year ago, maybe even more than that. It was just one of those things that was out there. I was like, oh, that would be cool.
So the reason restricted assets got deployed first is we saw a need for it. So we chose to implement that first, or else it would have been voting. So voting's the next big thing after the algorithm swap and restricted assets.
I love it. That's very cool. I can't wait to see some of these new features. And so the most recent update is going to be October 1st, which will include the new X16R version 2. And when are we going to see restricted assets?
You might see it before that, but I think the plan is probably at least a month after the algorithm swap. We just want to give the nodes on the network enough time to update and then not have to worry about it. So hopefully in the next week, we'll have an update for them that they can just update their node and they're set. They're ready for October 1st. And restricted assets will come after October 1st, just to ease the network on node updates.
Excellent. Well, Jeremy, Blonde Frogs, it has been great speaking with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us the inside scoop on RavenCoin.
Yeah, of course. It's been a blast. Thanks for having me on, and hope I can come on again and talk about something else.
Would love to. I hope we can have you on the next time we make some kind of headway with the Zell Node infrastructure, big announcement there, and see what kind of contributions you've made, and let the community know what's up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. And for more information about RavenCoin, check out ravencoin.com. And for everything Zell, check us out over at zell.network or connect with us on Twitter at Zell_core. And until next time, you've been in the core, powered by Zell Core Plus.